Look around you the next time you're at the grocery store or a coffee shop. Most people look perfectly fine. They feel fine. But according to CDC estimates for 2026, an astonishing 115.2 million American adults are walking around with a metabolic condition called prediabetes. Let that number sink in. That is more than 2 in 5 U.S. adults. But here is the most concerning part, the real reason we need to talk about this today. 8 out of 10 people who have it have absolutely no idea. How is that even possible? How can over 100 million people have a fundamental problem with how their body processes blood sugar and the vast majority not even realize it? We have this instinctive belief that says, if something were wrong with me, I would feel it. But when it comes to your metabolic health, feeling normal does not always mean your blood sugar is normal. Today, we are going to reveal the 7 things that tell you it's worth paying attention to, even if you feel completely healthy. Why prediabetes can be silent. To understand why prediabetes is the ultimate silent problem, we have to clear up what it actually is. I'm not going to give you a long biology lecture about the pancreas. Simply put, prediabetes means your blood sugar levels are higher than normal, but not yet high enough to be diagnosed as type 2 diabetes. So why doesn't it cause symptoms? Because your body is incredibly resilient.
It is working overtime, pumping out extra insulin behind the scenes to keep your blood sugar in check. You don't feel that internal struggle. This means that waiting until you feel unusually thirsty or constantly exhausted or needing to use the bathroom all the time is waiting too long. Those aren't signs of prediabetes. Those are often signs that you've already crossed the line into type 2 diabetes. So if you can't rely on how you feel to know if you're at risk, what do you look for? The clues are there. They are just easy to miss. Let's look at 7 specific risk factors. Sign number 1. The first clue is simply the candles on your birthday cake. If you are 35 or older, your risk naturally increases. Now, this doesn't mean prediabetes is an old person's condition. We are seeing it in much younger people today. But as we age, our metabolism naturally shifts, and we often lose muscle mass while gaining fat, which changes how our body handles glucose. This is so critical that the National Institute of Diabetes and Digestive and Kidney Diseases, NIDK, actually recommends routine screening for type 2 diabetes starting at age 35 for many adults. If you've crossed that milestone, it's time to put this on your radar.
Sign number 2. The second sign is carrying excess weight, but more specifically, where you carry it. We aren't talking about aesthetics here, we are talking about biology. If you have a larger waistline, meaning you carry weight primarily around your middle, you are likely carrying what's called visceral fat. This isn't just fat that sits under the skin. Visceral fat wraps around your internal organs, like your liver and pancreas, and it is highly active. It releases inflammatory chemicals that actively block insulin from doing its job, creating a condition known as insulin resistance. You won't feel this resistance happening, but it is the primary engine driving prediabetes. Sign number 3. Sign number 3 is your family tree. If you have a parent, a brother, or a sister with type 2 diabetes, your own risk goes up significantly. Now, at this point, you might be thinking, okay, I'm over 35, I've gained a little weight around my middle over the last few years, and my dad has type 2 diabetes. It's completely normal to start seeing yourself in this list. Genetics load the gun, and lifestyle pulls the trigger. Having a family history doesn't mean you are doomed, but it does mean your body might have a lower tolerance for a modern, highly processed diet. Sign number 4. This brings us to number 4, physical inactivity. And let's be honest, modern life makes this one incredibly easy to fall into. You wake up, sit in a car, sit at a desk for 8 hours, sit in traffic, and then sit on the couch because you're exhausted. But your muscles are your body's biggest glucose sinks. When you use your muscles, they pull sugar out of your blood to use for energy, even without needing much insulin. When you sit all day, those muscles aren't demanding energy. The sugar stays in your bloodstream, and your pancreas has to work twice as hard to clear it out. Sign number 5. Sign number 5 often surprises people because it doesn't seem related to blood sugar at all. It's having high blood pressure or having abnormal lipid levels, specifically low HDL, the good cholesterol, and high triglycerides. Why do these matter? Because they rarely travel alone. High blood pressure, high triglycerides, and elevated blood sugar are part of a cluster called metabolic syndrome.
If your doctor has told you your blood pressure is creeping up or your cholesterol isn't looking great, it is a massive red flag that your metabolic system as a whole is under stress. Sign number 6. Sign number 6 is specific to medical history. If you've ever had gestational diabetes during a pregnancy, or if you've been diagnosed with a condition strongly linked to insulin resistance, like PCOS, polycystic ovary syndrome, your risk of developing prediabetes later in life is notably higher. Even if your blood sugar returned to completely normal after you gave birth, that history is your body's way of telling you that under stress, your metabolic system has limits. It is a clue that deserves your attention. Sign number 7. And finally, sign number 7. This is the one people ignore the most, a previous blood test that showed borderline numbers. Think back to a physical you had maybe 2 or 3 years ago. Did your doctor look at your lab work and say something like, "Your blood sugar is just a little high, but nothing to worry about yet. Let's just keep an eye on it"? We tend to hear "nothing to worry about," and we completely tune out the rest. But blood sugar doesn't usually fix itself while we aren't looking. If you had borderline numbers a few years ago and haven't changed your habits, there is a very high chance those numbers have quietly crept. The numbers that matter. If you recognized yourself in 2, 3, or more of those signs, take a deep breath. Remember, you do not need all 7 of these signs to be at risk. And more importantly, none of these signs can actually diagnose prediabetes. They are just the smoke. To find the fire, you need to look at the actual numbers, because the reality is this: you cannot feel prediabetes, but a simple blood test can reveal it instantly. In the United States, doctors look at 3 main tests. First is the A1C test, which measures your average blood sugar over the last 2 to 3 months. If your A1C is between 5.7% and 6.4%, that is the prediabetes range. Second is fasting plasma glucose. This is checked in the morning before you eat. A result between 100 and 125 milligrams per deciliter signals prediabetes. And third is the oral glucose tolerance test, or OGTT, where you drink a sugary beverage and your blood is checked 2 hours later. A result between 140 and 199 milligrams per deciliter means prediabetes. These aren't just random numbers. They are the exact moment the silent problem becomes visible. What happens next? So what happens if you get tested and you actually fall into one of those ranges? The absolute worst thing you can do is panic. The second worst thing you can do is ignore it. Finding out you have prediabetes is actually a good thing. Why? Because it gives you control. It means you caught the problem before the damage became permanent. Prediabetes does not inevitably mean you will get type 2 diabetes. It is a warning light on your dashboard, not a broken engine. The CDC clearly states that structured lifestyle change programs, things like modifying how you eat, dropping a modest amount of weight, even just 5 to 7% of your body weight, and getting regular physical activity, can substantially reduce your risk of progressing to type 2 diabetes. Early action can entirely change the outcome. Don't wait for symptoms. The trap so many of us fall into is believing that feeling fine equals being metabolically fine. We rely on symptoms that were never designed to show up early. If you recognized yourself in the signs we talked about today, your age, your family history, your activity levels, make an appointment. Ask your doctor for an A1C test or a fasting glucose test. Take control of the silent problem before it gets loud. Don't wait until your body forces you to pay attention. Thanks for watching. If this video helped you connect the dots today, share it with someone you care about. Which of these 7 signs surprised you the most, or made you rethink your own daily habits?